Today we will talk about birds. The study of birds is called ornithology. Now birds are of all different sizes, as small as the sparrow or as large as a goose. In fact, some may be even larger than a goose. This is one of our local birds, the mourning dove, sometimes called the turtle dove. And this is a rock dove. Actually, you probably know it as a pigeon, found in most of our parks and around the city. This is a fruit dove. It's one of the prettier doves found in the southern climates. This is our rock dove, our mourning dove. He makes a really interesting sound. Notice how he bulges up his chest area, and the sound actually comes out through the feathers instead of through his mouth. Birds, like doves, eat berries, seeds, insects, and worms for their food. Here we see a robin eating a berry. And this is a nuthatch. He is feeding on grubs and worms. This is a grub he has in his mouth. And here's a sparrow feeding its young with grubs that it has collected. Birds in the dove group nest in trees or on the ground. They're safer in the trees, of course. They reproduce by laying eggs, like most birds do. Here is an example of the dove eggs, small and white. And look at these. These are robin eggs. Notice the pretty blue color. In the owl group, we have the northern climate snowy owl, the great horned owl, which we find in our rural areas, and we find some hawks, the red-tailed, for instance. Let's listen to the sound of the great horned owl. You can also hear some crows in the background. Notice how he puffs out his chest just like the turtle dove does, and the sound comes out through the feathers. Notice the big eyes. Birds can see really well, you know, and at long distances. Owls and hawks eat mostly small rodents like mice, rats, and even snakes. Here we see a barn owl, that has caught a mouse. A red-tailed hawk catches a mouse, and a brown eagle catches a snake. Some birds build their nests in trees. This is a rather large nest built by the red-tailed hawk. Some build them on platforms that are man-made, such as the owl in this case, and the nest contains an owlet. Notice how fluffy the owlet is. Here we see the bird eggs of the hawk, which are sort of a blue color with speckled or spots, and the owl egg, which are kind of brown with speckles, and they're identified by the color. Eagles, such as the great American bald eagle, and the golden eagle, and the vultures, and the brown eagle, are sometimes called scavengers or birds of prey. They reproduce by eggs, and here we see an example of the eagle eggs, a little larger than the ones we saw with the robin. There are a lot of colorful birds. cardinal, which we find locally, kingfisher, which we may see if we go around streams, and the fairy wren, found mostly in the northern climates. Here we have the bird of paradise, found only in the tropics. And the peacock, we probably think of as being in the zoo mostly. However, they are grown on some farms. When the peacock spreads its feathers, boy, does it look big and pretty. There are wading birds. Not too many that we see around here, but there are some. The sandhill crane, for instance, migrates through the state, and there are places to watch these birds a couple times a year when they migrate through around Kearney and Grand Island. They even have classes that go out there to study the sandhill cranes. The snowy egret, a very tall and lanky bird with beautiful feathers that are sometimes used in ladies' hats. And of course, the flamingo. Most of us know about the flamingo, and we probably even know that it gets its color from eating shrimp. Birds that live in these areas, the larger birds like this, have larger eggs. Here we see the sandhill crane, which has about a 6-inch egg. We also should know that large birds lay smaller numbers of eggs, like 2 or 3, while the smaller birds lay 4 or 5 eggs. These birds feed on whatever they find in the water. In this case, the bird has found a frog. Watch out, Kermit. There are lots of small birds that we can find in our backyard. Do you know these birds? The starling, the bluebirds, the junco, the flicker, sometimes called a woodpecker, and the rock dove or pigeon. Also, mourning dove, blue jay, and the cardinal, of course. Lots of sparrows in our area, and of course the well-known robin. Well, thanks for watching us as we talk about the birds.